Let this be another knot to tie around my bed at night. I know I've lost the fight to erase your face, my mind.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So we're starting off with some lip moisturizer and then we're jumping into the brows. So today I'm doing a reverse technique. So basically I'm concealing my brows before actually filling them in. I feel like this just helps me get a more natural brow. I feel like I don't overdo it with the product or the powder because this just gives me a nice map, and I don't know, just cleaning it up really helps a lot. So definitely try this technique if you haven't. So I just use the Kelley Baker brow brush, and then I'm using the Dose of Colors concealer brush to blend it out and to give me a little bit more precision. And so I'm just blending that out and then using my finger to blend out the rest of it, the edges. So I'm basically just doing this on the bottom of my brow, not on the top, because I'm going to be doing that later. Now I'm going to go in with the Anastasia Ebony pomade, and I'm just using an Anastasia number 12 brush on my brows, and I'm just filling them in. For some reason, my brows have been looking a little bit more red compared to my jet black hair, so I think I need to switch over to granite because, yeah, I just noticed that this has a little bit of like a red brown tone, especially when I take pictures. But basically just filling them in like always, but I'm not going so thick with the brows. I'm doing more of like a thinner, more natural brow, kind of just following my natural brow and then just blending it out. And in the front, I'm just doing upwards strokes rather than side to side like the rest of the brow. So just make sure you use your spoolie to blend everything out so that it doesn't look so chunky. And to prime my eyes today, I'm actually using the Nars Radiant Creamy Concealer in Custard, and I'm just using a Real Techniques brush to blend that out. I was just trying a concealer rather than a primer. So we're going in with the Elcie Cosmetics Minimalist palette. I love this palette so much. I'm using the cream shade to set my whole lid, just to kind of set that concealer because concealers definitely crease. And then we're going in with the Transition Brown shade, and I love this shade so much, and I'm using a Luxie brush just to apply that to my crease. And this look is going to require a lot of blending. So when you're doing a smoky eye, you want to make sure you have a transition, and you want to make sure you do all your crease colors before applying the black or whatever shade you're going to be doing on the lid. So just doing that transition, and then I'm going in with that orangey tone color. It's like a very warm orange tone. I love this color. And I'm going in with a Smith Cosmetics brush, and I'm just applying that also in the crease. So you really want to layer this. You don't want to just go straight in with your dark colors. You want to go from light to dark. And when you use darker colors, you definitely want to get more precise with your brush. You don't want to use big fluffy brushes with dark colors because you're going to get the product everywhere. Now I'm using the brown colors, basically just, again, light to dark. In the palette, it actually has light and dark shades, so you just want to start off with the lightest. Here I'm using a MAC 221 brush, and I'm applying that to my crease a little bit more precise. Like I said, you want to get smaller with your brush when you're using a darker shade because you want more precision with that, because that's what's creating that shadow-like effect. So I'm just applying this to my crease and underneath the crease and kind of feathering that out. I am using one shade from the Melt Cosmetics stack, and it's this beautiful red shade, Enigma. I love it so much. And I love the Melt Cosmetics stack because it blends out so effortlessly. So I'm just applying that over the orangey tone, just kind of in between, and just smoking that out. Now we're going in with the black shade. So this can be a little scary, but I promise as long as you use like packing motions, you're not going to get it where you don't want it to go. So a little trick is to kind of look back and not go above your crease. So if you have a natural crease, you don't want to go above it. If you don't, you're just going to want to kind of fake the crease, and you're not going to want to go above where you want. So you can kind of create a crease if you'd like, but I do have that natural crease, so I'm just kind of stopping there. And I was using a Vera brush, which I really like for packing on, and then I'm just kind of blending a little bit more with that MAC 221 and also with the Smith Cosmetics. Like I said, this look requires so much blending. It's just like blending, blending, blending. You don't want to look like you got punched in the face, punched in the eye. So you just want to make sure you take your time with a smoky eye. I'm just applying that white shade to my brow bone, and I'm using a Sonia Kashuk brush for that, and then back in with the Smith Cosmetics brush just to blend everything out. Whenever I apply any color, I just go in with another brush just to blend it out. Now I'm using the NYC Liquid Liner to kind of create a little bit of a line on my eye. Nothing crazy, no wing. This is just to help the lashes kind of blend in. I applied some mascara, and then I'm tight lining with the Marc Jacobs Highliner in Blacker. I love this stuff. And I just created a really thin line with the liner. Nothing too crazy. And back in for some more blending. I love these Smith Cosmetics brushes. I totally recommend them. They're so worth the money. And it's just kind of like layering when it comes to a smoky eye, because the more you apply product, the more other products get removed. Now I'm doing the red liner. This is the Marc Jacobs wine liner. I love it. And then for lashes, I'm using the new Bouncem Bella lashes. These are gorgeous. I want to get like 10 of these because I felt that they really just looked great with a smoky eye. They're not too long. They're just really fluffy and wispy and gorgeous. I love them. And for primer, I'm using the Sensual Skin Primer from Kevyn Aucoin. This is brand new, and it has like this really cool pumping kind of thing. And I found that this was really nice. It just kind of left like a nice sticky yet hydrating kind of feeling. It's kind of like the Nivea men's primer. It kind of feels like hydrating, but I still wanted to go in with a pore minimizing primer, so I went in with the Tarte pore minimizing primer, the clean slate one. And I'm going to go in with another primer. This is the Becca primer. It's their brand new one. It's the purple one, their Backlight primer. And I really just needed a little bit more hydration because my skin has just been all types of crazy. It is getting under control now because I stopped using what I was using before, like those products that were irritating me, but still needed some hydration. So I went in with my trusty L'Oreal Pro Matte Infallible because this never does me wrong and it looks so good on camera and in person. I'm using shade 107 because I do have a fake tan on, so it does look tanner than my face because I'm doing like chemical peels and exfoliations on my face, so that's why. And now I'm doing some concealer. I'm using the Tarte Shape Tape in light medium, and I'm applying it underneath my eye and also towards the bridge of the nose to kind of slim it down. And I'm using the new Nars matte concealer on my nose just to kind of highlight it and anywhere where I need it to spot conceal. And this one is in the shade Cannel. I think that's how it's pronounced. Cannel, something like that. I'll have it down below like always. But I just want to say I love the Nars concealer. I actually picked it up in one more shade, and I kind of want to pick it up in all of the shades for my kit because it's so good. So I'm just blending everything out with my beauty blender. And the Nars concealer, like, it provides coverage. It's not too matte, but it's not shiny, so it's actual perfection. It just never looked cakey. It just looked so good, and I really liked it for the nose. To set my face, I'm using the Armani powder in shade 4, and this is the Luminous Silk Compact Foundation. I just didn't want to add too much coverage, so I didn't go in with my MAC powders. I find that when my skin is going through a lot, using the MAC Studio Fix powders can just be a little bit too much. And then to bake, I'm using the Derma Blend powder. And I'm sorry that I'm kind of out of frame for this part, but I couldn't really tell with the camera, with the lens. And I get like really close up to my mirror when I'm in the zone. To bronze up my face, I'm using Golden Dark from MAC. And this is a MSF, and I'm using this Charlotte Tilbury brush. I love this Charlotte Tilbury brush. So good. And I'm just kind of lightly contouring and bronzing with that, with the Golden Dark. I really like this shade because it's not too warm. It just creates a really natural look. So I'm just applying that to my temples, to my cheeks, to my chin, to my forehead, basically anywhere where I want to bronze and kind of just define those areas. I'm also going to be using that to contour my nose. So I'm using the shader brush from Dose of Colors, and I'm using that same Golden Dark MSF. I baked on the side of my nose, so it kind of helps when contouring, and I'm applying that to the kind of like the ball of the nose to create a like pointy effect. And then I'm just wiping away the bake with a Surratt brush. This is the Surratt powder brush. It's so soft. Same brush that I used for my face powder. Now I'm using this really cool cake and bake. I don't know what it's called, but it's from Vera. It's like their baking sponge. I really like it. I used it wet, and then I used this really tiny Real Techniques one to bake on the sides of my nose. I really like baking the sides of my nose. It really helps clean up the contour. And I'm using that same Surratt brush to kind of wipe away the bake underneath my contour. Like I said with this powder, I don't let it sit too long. Then I'm going back in with a fine wine from Marc Jacobs, and I'm kind of applying it underneath my lash line because I'm going to end up smoking it out with that Enigma shade from Milk Cosmetics. I love this shade. MAC Cosmetics has a really nice red shade if you're looking for one. It's like a nice wine shade. And then I'm going in with that orangey shade from the Elcie just to kind of smoke out underneath the red. And it just kind of lets it blend a little bit better. It goes from red to kind of like an orange. And I'm using a Kat Von D Shade Light brush. I love this one for underneath my eyes, but also for my crease because it really packs on color. For blush, I'm using the Sleek Cosmetics blush in Suede. I mentioned this in my favorites video, and I'm using that same Charlotte Tilbury brush. I love this brush. It fits the face so well. Like it's the perfect shape and the perfect like scratchiness, I guess. It's really good. Now I'm just using a Morphe brush to wipe away the bake on the sides of my nose and kind of pack that in. I'm applying some Fix Plus. Actually a lot of Fix Plus, and I'm applying that same Fix Plus to MAC Nylon, and I'm applying that to the inner corners Love nylon, especially when wet. It just gives a really nice effect. And then for mascara, I'm using the Kevyn Aucoin Volume Mascara. A lot of people don't like this on the Sephora reviews, but I absolutely love it for my lower lashes. When I do smoky eyes, I really make sure that I focus on my lower lashes to kind of create some balance. And I really like smoking out my lower lash as well. I applied some Loreal Brow Stylist Plumper to my brows, and then I'm just kind of concealing my brows just a little bit more to clean it up. And when you have a smoky eye, you really want to make sure the rest of your face is super clean and really precise. Now I'm using Benefit Hoola to furthermore contour the nose with that same Dose of Colors brush and really just snatch the nose. I love Hoola because it's a perfect undertone. It doesn't look too cool. And then a little bit of Give Me Sun. I had to sneak in a little Give Me Sun. Now I'm using the Kevyn Aucoin Flesh Tone Lip Pencil. I really love this because it just looks really natural. It just looks like a natural lip line. And it really makes your lips look really plump, which I love. So I'm going to go in with Burberry Velvet Matte Liquid Lipstick in the shade Fawn Rose. And then I'm going in with the shade Light Nude to really just lighten it up. And I really like the combo together. Now, these are really nice. They're really comfortable to wear. They do kind of dry out my lips after I take it off, but I love them because they just look so like pillow soft. And then I'm using the It's Like Honey lip gloss from the MAC Mariah collection, which unfortunately is no longer available, but I have 2 of these and I'm so happy because I love this gloss so much. It kind of smells weird, but I love it. I'm going in with first L'Oreal Gilded Honey as my highlight with the Anastasia highlighting brush. And then I'm going to go in with the Dior 003 Nude highlight just to give me a little bit extra whoop-ham. You know what I mean? Yes, girl. You see me feeling it? I was like, okay, highlight, come through. So I'm going to use that Dior highlight on my nose as well, just to highlight the bridge. And I'm using a Dose of Colors pencil brush. I love this brush to highlight the nose because it's very precise. I just don't really like using my finger for that. I don't know what it is, but just a little more blending, you know, just make sure everything is really blended and take your time with a smoky eye. That's the key, is just taking your time. Practice makes perfect. And then just a little bit of Scandinavia Bridal Spray and then some Kat Von D Banana Powder right underneath my eyes to brighten everything up, because you want to create some balance. You don't want your under eye to look really dark because we have so much smoked out on the top and bottom. So just creating a little bit of balance by applying some light to my face. So that's it for this look. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in the next one. I love you so much. Thank you so much for watching. Mwah.